This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Duck and Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Xzone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, we are back, kicking off a week. Matt, it feels so good to be back in this chair.
It's the first day that your black eyes are gone. Almost.
Just about.
Almost all gone.
Yeah, I got a little green right here, and that's about it.
You percentage-wise from before the... Can we call it a celebratory fall? Because you did win.
Yeah.
Before the celebratory fall, let's say you were at 100.
Yeah.
Where are you at now?
Probably 65%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Probably 65. I still have a ways to go. Folks, in case you missed the show, when did we do that? Last Thursday with Frank?
Yeah, you got the go-ahead to come back from the dock.
Yeah. I have some limitations. I can drive a little bit now. And
where's the first place? Have you been anywhere by yourself?
No, I went and got my COVID round 2.
By yourself?
By myself.
First place you've been by yourself in a month?
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a story for you before we get going. So,
okay.
What we see on the screen here is Jeffries has a big flat screen, but there's some like technical stuff on the side, like screens. And I remember one of them is the photo of the you say Gills Malash. I believe it's Giles Malash.
No, it's Gills.
That's not how they said it on the...
It's not Giles. It's Gills Malash.
Gills.
Malash? Gills.
Okay. Anyway.
Believe me, I saw him play a zillion
times.
Tomatoes. Yeah.
I honestly had never heard of the guy. He's a hockey player, goalie. Jeffries was on a quest for some... Was it or the...
Well, he played for the California Seals.
That was it. The California Seals.
Then he played for the Cleveland Bears.
Anyway, there's a picture of a stick there. It says Gills Malash on it, so she reminded me of it. So last week, I'm driving into the show, and I was listening to the NHL XM channel, and they were talking about Marc-Andre Fleury on how he flew, I believe his goalie coach, Gills Malash, into Las Vegas when he got traded from Pittsburgh to Vegas and had his first start there.
Yeah.
And didn't really tell anyone about it. It was like a deal. They were talking about how great Marc-Andre Fleury was, but I was like, I know that name.
Yeah.
And Jeffries knows that name, so it's just crazy how it all kind of came together from a guy I'd never heard of.
Heck yeah. Gills Malash, man. He was a stud, and that was one of the first goal magazines. He was on the cover of the very first one that I got. First hockey game I ever went to was a California Seals games. Really?
And he was on the... What was the first Bassmaster cover you remember? Do you remember a cover that stuck out to you?
Larry Nixon. Yeah, Larry Nixon. Megabucks.
He was on the cover of Bassmasters.
Yeah. 100%. Still have it. It's in my room upstairs.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure...
What was yours?
Well, I was thinking about that because you asked that question, and now I don't have one that sticks out.
You don't?
I'm trying to think of all the Bassmaster magazines.
Mark Davis, too. That was another one when he won the Classic and Angler of the Year the same year.
Mm-hmm.
How about Ken Duke?
I wonder
What do you think
his
his favorite one was?
favorite Bassmaster cover ever is.
We will ask him that because we're going to have Ken on
He's
here
got to
just
have
in a few
He'll
minutes.
give us his top 10.
Top 5. Top 10 is too many.
Top 3.
Top 3 is good.
Top 3 favorite Bassmaster covers of all time. Can we go bass? Because he is at a fishing tackle retailer. So let's go fishing magazine covers. Because that would encompass a lot.
Okay.
Because I would venture to say that my favorite, and it was, I don't know who did it, but when FLW, when Jacob Wheeler, I believe he'd won the All-American and then was going, there was like a cover, and this is not verbatim, but it said like the chosen one or the next one or something like that. And I believe that was back in 2011 or 2010.
Yeah.
That cover, and boy, did they nail that right.
Yeah.
But that sticks out to me because I was like, who is this kid? He's like 19. But I just remember that cover being, holy cow, like that guy's the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope everybody had a great Easter holiday weekend, good times with your family, and, not a whole lot fishing-wise going on. But, man, sports-wise, did you see the end of the Zags win?
Yeah, that was nuts.
Crazy. They went Takahiro, man.
Yeah, 3. That's good fishing reference there.
Yeah.
That was what, Lake Wiley?
Yeah.
With the 3 casts on the balsa?
Yeah.
Yeah, all hope was lost, and they're just like banking them in from half court. I felt bad for UCLA, though.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
It was a great basketball game, but at the same time, it was very boring. And people are going to throw rocks at me for saying that.
It was very boring.
Because all UCLA did was ISO. The entire game.
Weren't they shooting their lights
It
out
was
and
incredible.
they stayed with them for both halves? So then it wasn't boring.
From
high
a
scoring?
purist perspective is all I'm saying.
I don't know. The announcers seem to be pretty dang impressed with it.
I'm not saying it wasn't exciting. It was just their brand of basketball. It's all ISO.
Well, you
That's
make
all
one
it is.
state championship and now you're a purist?
Dude, believe me, I know a little bit more about basketball than you do. I'm not saying it was an incredible basketball game.
I am 1-0 again with the game. I mean, we've played horse one time and I am 1-0.
Yeah. But no, that's a great question about your favorite Bassmaster cover.
Yeah.
Do you think the magazine, and we'll ask Ken this too, do you think the magazine is still relevant in this day and age of digital technology?
Still relevant, absolutely. As relevant as it was 10 years ago, no.
Even though they do have a digital version,
Yes,
don't they?
like I said, still relevant, not to the same level, in my opinion. There's just more options.
From a media perspective and a photographer's perspective, is that and has been the Holy Grail if you get your photo on the cover of Bassmaster, if it's not staged? Because sometimes...
Well, even if it's staged, I think if you get your artwork or a photo or anything on the cover of Bass, the one that's...
the Holy Grail.
I believe the one that sticks. I remember Dan O'Sullivan, he runs Advanced Angler, works at... he's in Alabama now. It's not Bucks Marine. What is it? Buck Island? Is that where he is?
That.
Anyway.
Yeah.
New bass cat dealer.
Yeah.
And I believe his first cover was staged, but it was Roy Halladay. Remember on one knee holding up the fish?
Yeah.
And I remember, I believe Dan O'Sullivan took that picture.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can't count against it because Roy said, hey, look up here and get a photo. But yeah, the action shots.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those were staged anyway, Mark. A lot of those cover shots
that's what I'm saying. But some of the photos, and once again, we'll ask Ken
some
this,
are action.
Are live, not live photo, but actual action.
Right, from the
water.
tournament.
Yeah.
So what they would do is they would take the guy would win, and they'd keep the boat in the water.
It was Bucks Island, by the way.
Bucks Island. What did I say?
I don't know. Bugs Island.
I said Bucks. Bucks Island. Because Bugs Island is a different place, and when I was driving there the first time, I thought I was going to Bugs Island, and I was like, this is a long way away, and I was in Virginia.
Yeah.
On my GPS. Anyway, remember they would take the guy out after he won.
They still do that.
Yeah, but they would do some action shots with him and stuff. But yeah, the Holy Grail would probably be an in-tournament where the photographer is in the right place, Sego, J.O., whoever it is.
Yeah.
And they get the shot as it's happening, and then that makes the cover.
Yeah. And then you get it blown up, put it in your office.
Yeah. Is that your best photograph
Yeah,
ever.
without a doubt. That's way before drones.
Yeah, I'm looking at a photograph on the wall if you're listening on iTunes, and it's Jeff Crete, but it's like a weird top angle, and he's got like a 5 or 6 pounder jumping, and that's a helicopter on Grand Lake.
Yeah.
Best shot ever.
Definitely. That's why it's blown up. The Dean Rojas photo, where's that one at? Is that one in here?
No, that's in your other office, I believe. No, it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, that's an okay one, but you can get a bunch of those shots.
But the thing about that is he was in an area that was really, really hard to get into.
I remember that.
There was a lot of strategy on making sure that you didn't impede or interfere with what was going on that area.
Now, you consider the Jeff Crete shot better than the Mike Iaconelli. You have the midair where he's grabbing the line,
the only one
the spotted bass.
in existence.
You consider the Crete shot better than the Ike shot.
Yeah. Two different type of shots. Because the 5-pounder jumping and getting that photo when you're in the helicopter, the odds are astronomical.
Yeah, that's
now,
fair
the same thing with the Ike photo, which is...
That's right there.
Yeah.
Did they actually use your photo set or no, there was a camera with him, but to show that he kept his hand...
No, they captured photos from the video.
To show that he kept his hand on the boat.
Yeah.
I would say my greatest shot sequence, and you would remember this. I don't know if you were in the boat with us or not, but it was the Gunnersville tournament where everyone smashed him on a swim bait, and Byron Velvick was on this stretch. It was like Clay Bank, but he was throwing that big BV3D.
Yeah.
And I've got several sequences of him like kneeling down with these big giant 5 to 7 pounders jumping in midair.
Yeah.
I also have one. I'll say one more photo story. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sad. So we were on Kentucky Lake back when it had bass in it. I guess it's kind of coming back. That was a cheap shot. But they were out there as a summertime tournament, and Clark Ream was throwing a big 10-inch worm. And he said, "You want to get a 5-pounder on camera?" And I said, "Absolutely, Clark." And he makes a cast, and he goes, "There it is." And whack, jacks it. It's a 5-pounder. And I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy. This is unbelievable." And he's like, I told you there's a 5-pounder. And he goes to the back of the boat to fight it. And his co-angler puts his stuff down. And the fish jumps as the boat, and he tries to boat flip it into the boat, and it comes off in midair. And my strategy is take 1,000,000 and hope one turns out. But I've got the worm about 6 inches outside of this fish's mouth. It's tail walking. Clark's rod is just unloading, and he has the "oh no" look on his face. And it's like right where this plant is right here, right in front of him, and he's just staring at it. But the fish is clearly, and the worm it's perfect shot.
Wow.
Bob Cobb, the thrill of victory and the agony of angling. Is that right, Ken?
What?
Who said? Didn't he say that? Did he say the thrill of victory, the agony of angling?
Oh, that was Wide World of Sports.
No,
dude.
that's the
Jim
agony
McKay.
of defeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Bob Cobb changed it to the agony of angling.
I have no idea. I've never heard that. I've never heard Bob Cobb say that.
Or was it Tim Tucker? It was someone said that.
Gary Judici?
No.
I've never heard that, man.
Yes, you have.
I have not. Honestly.
Someone's had to have
I've heard
that.
Jim McKay, thrill of victory, agony of defeat.
Yeah. That's why I said it's a
Every
spin-off of
Saturday.
that.
Wide World of Sports, ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Dude tumbling down from the ski jump.
Oh, did they play that every time?
Every single time.
Some dude who's like the long jumper.
He's like a famous guy, but I can't remember his name.
Just ate it, and then they replayed it over and over.
Did you never watch that?
No, I mean, I know the Wide World of Sports, but don't remember.
It was the same thing every week. I forget. His name was like Jacques something.
And he just had a bad day on the
It
slopes.
was really bad. I'm sure we can pull it up on YouTube and check it out. It's got to be out there somewhere. Anyway.
See?
So we'll get into some of these questions.
Rivest Fishing has heard it. He said he've heard it, but I don't know who said it.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Duke, you've never heard that?
No, he's shaking his head. He's never heard that
We got
either.
Ken Duke on the show today.
Yeah, we're going to take a break and then come back. All right, real quick. Tomorrow, Defo. And then Wednesday, still working on the show there. But Wednesday, man, I am still waiting for a response from a contact person with this media company that has the world sports rankings. Remember, I kind of mentioned that. Yeah. And the number one guy, you remember who the number one?
In the world?
Yeah.
Was it Cristiano Ronaldo?
No.
You never said
I'm going to give you the top
one
5.
Guys
yeah, I did.
I thought you teased us.
No. LeBron James, number 1.
Oh.
Number 2, Novak.
In tennis?
Djokovic.
Really? Tennis?
Yeah. Number 3, motorcycling.
I'm confused as to what the parameters are.
I'm going to get into the parameters on Wednesday. I'm just giving you the top 5 here real quick. I don't know how to say his last name. Antoni Boy, B-O-U, from Spain.
Is he a racer or is he, what is he?
Motorcycling is what it says.
He's number 4 or 5?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 4, Rafael Nadal, Spain, tennis.
There's 2 tennis guys in the top 5?
Yeah. And then number 5, never heard of this dude, Francisco Friedrich from Germany, bobsledding.
We got to go over the parameters
yeah, and the parameters that they use, very, very discreet.
Discreet?
Yeah.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah. They're kind of obscure.
Obscure.
Yeah.
Discreet would be more like low key. Obscure.
That's what I'm saying. They're not like jumping out at you.
It's not like Instagram
obvious.
followers,
Yeah.
money earned.
Yeah. Okay, number 6. I'm going to go through the next 5.
Okay.
A woman.
Okay.
Sue Bird.
That's a WNBA basketball player.
Yeah. Number 7. Sumo wrestling.
I know that's big.
Haku Sho.
Oh, good old Haku Show.
Yeah. Number 8. Auto racing.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
From England?
Yep.
Number 9. Very recognizable. Tom Brady. And then number 10, speed skating from the Netherlands.
How is golf not in here?
Dude.
Or anything.
I know.
Or more English. There's no English Premier League soccer guys?
Not yet.
Like, yeah, your parameters must be very obscure.
Yeah,
I would love to know how they...
We're going to find out on Wednesday. And folks, I am really, really trying. I have been bugging the heck out of these guys to get somebody to come on the show because the thing that caught my eye, I mentioned it on Thursday, number 29 is from the world of professional bowling.
Yeah, no angling on here.
And not a
they
single...
even recognize it as angling.
Yeah. So we're going to try and get somebody on to, number 1, find out why is fishing not considered in this. Heck, he got bobsledding for crying out loud. Some of the other sports, just real quick, they do have esports on there.
They did. That was my question. I knew that would probably be big.
Freestyle skating, speed skating, paracycling, horse racing, croquet.
They got rodeo? They got any bull riders?
I did not see rodeo.
Any team ropers? Like
Nordic,
Trevor Brazil, probably?
Nordic skiing. They did have polo.
Yeah.
Okay, polo's on there.
Oh, do you think...
Handball.
Listen to this. I've got it in. I've got an in with a guy who lives in Oklahoma now, but he was a full-time professional polo player and was based out of Norman for a number of years.
Huh.
Like, that's what he did. There are remarkable similarities to tournament bass fishing and professional polo.
Really?
Yeah. They're not like on a team. Like every week they get drafted by billionaires who are putting on tournaments.
Huh.
So they're like independent contractors.
Interesting. We might talk to that guy. Anyway, on Wednesday, we'll have a guest on the show Wednesday, but what we will do is hopefully I will get a response back from these guys because I am just immensely intrigued with this list and how they came up with it. Mm-hmm. So we'll go from there. What else? Did you see Spieth get it done this week?
Yeah, I did. I watched the whole thing.
Cool.
I watched the final round. It's hard to believe he's still so young. So we did mention that there was a Toyota on Dale Hollow. I think a number of the BPT guys and stuff fished on that. But if I believe there was a 16 to 20 or 16 to 21 inch slot on smallmouth on that lake.
Good grief.
So there were guys who had to throw back 5+ pound smallmouth. Now it is Dale Howell, and that's maybe why they were catching the 5 pound smallmouth, because it was in the slot. Now Lake Fork is like that. That's why they do the catch, weigh, release in the tournaments. But when we get Ken back on, one of the things that I want to talk about, unless you have, I don't want to derail the show. I don't know if you guys have a deep depth plan.
No.
Are the craziest limits that he can recall in the history of tournament bass fishing.
All right.
You know, throwing back 22, 23 pounds of smallmouth. I remember where I'm headed for the next Open, there is a period during the time of the year, not when we're there, where you can keep like one smallmouth over 18 inches and that's it. But have there ever been like no minimum length limits? Like technically in Oklahoma, there's no spotted bass length limit. So if you're a tournament director and wanted to weigh in an 8-incher or on Arbuckle, remember?
Yeah.
We did the fish and chips, and you had no minimum length limit. Chip Porcher and I weighed in a 5-fish limit that weighed 2 pounds 1 ounce, and that's no joke.
I remember that.
So I would be interested at the professional level. Has there been any asinine, crazy limits where they weren't able to get permits and it was just chaos?
We'll ask him. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here on Monday. It's great to be back in this seat. So we're going to take a break. Come back with Ken Duke right here on BTL. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to active imaging and new active target live sonar, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor. For a limited time, building the ultimate fishing system will be easier on your wallet. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, active target sonar, or live sight sonar, and save up to $800.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back.
Oh, you broke the commercials up.
Well, yeah, you said that worked out well, so that's what I'm going to do.
Started that trend last.
Good stuff there. All right, it is time to bring in our special guest, and we're going to bombard him with questions, as we always do. He seems to have all the answers, though, doesn't he, Matthew?
Doesn't seem to. He does, like I said. I can't remember anything.
Let's
that he
bring him
got
in now.
wrong
Ken,
before.
how you doing?
He's holding up his favorite Bassmaster magazine.
I'm doing great, guys. Actually, Matt, I'm holding up the first Bassmaster magazine that I ever saw. Somehow, I guess it was available on a newsstand. It's the February 1977 issue of Bassmaster. There's Rick Clunn. He had won the 76 Classic in November of 76, and this is the second issue of 77. And my dad picked it up. I guess he must have been on a business trip, and it must have been available somewhere on a newsstand. I had no idea there was such a thing as a bass fishing magazine at that point, and I was so thrilled to see this thing. So that was the first one I ever saw, and I still treasure that thing.
Hang on a second. Did you say it was on a newsstand?
I don't know where my dad got it.
Huh.
And he's not around anymore to ask, so unfortunately, but I guess he got it on a newsstand or somewhere he picked it up. But to find out suddenly at 14 that there are such things as bass tournaments and people can make a living in the bass fishing world, that was astonishing to me. It was mind blowing.
So you were in this industry because of that magazine, in a sense. I mean, it piqued it opened a lot of doors for you.
I think that's absolutely right. I would go even further and to say that the three of us are in this industry because of a man named Ray Scott.
Well, that's really going out on a limb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious, but it's true, and not many people maybe think about it that way or give Ray his due in that regard. But it's not as though Ray quite invented the industry, but he certainly put it on the map. He's the best promoter this sport has ever known.
Now, recently, there's been a lot of discussion about structure fishing, offshore fishing with forward-facing sonar. I did notice in that magazine that you just held up to the camera there, Mr. Duke, that the feature article at the top, I believe, was structure fishing.
You're correct, sir.
What are they all? What are they go? Just kind of leaf through that and get to that article and see what we were doing in the 1970s. Are we talking like window weights getting drugged behind the boat there? Is that pre-flasher? Are we talking triangulation, buoys? What are we talking about?
Well, this particular article is titled "Apply Structure Fishing to Shallow Water Ponds." I'm going to flip to page 26 and show you. And it's going to disappoint you because it's going to have words in it like triangulation. And I know
it does.
That, nobody under the age of 45 or so has ever heard the word triangulation, probably. But they're just talking about finding. It's really simplistic, but it's still things that guys do today. This is an article that talks about finding the channel winding through standing timber and looking for gaps in vegetation and things like that. But it's trying to show bass fishermen back in 1977 that the big water techniques that they read about with Roland Martin and Bill Dance on structure fishing can still work on the small lakes and ponds that a lot of guys fish.
Who is the first guy that you remember, Ken, that won a major event structure fishing? Can you recall that?
Oh, it would have been Bill Dance. And Bill was, most of the tournaments Bill was winning back then. He was winning, if not exactly offshore, at least further off the bank than most guys were fishing. Bill was the first structure fisherman, I would say. I think that's a fair statement. And he was doing it. Of course, they were using flashers back then. Lowrance had flashers a few years in the early 70s. Then Tom Mann comes out with Humminbird, and the Super 60 becomes just ubiquitous on the boats of the day. But I think it's definitely Bill Dance. He was, of course, Bill won some of the early tournaments. He won the 4th tournament ever, and he won like 7 tournaments in the first couple of years. So I'd say it's got to be Bill.
That's pretty cool. All right, now, what was the other question you had for him?
Top 3 Bassmaster magazine.
Yeah.
Covers that just stick out to you. So that's obviously number 1. The Rick Clunn holding the.
Well, that's one that sticks out for me personally.
Yeah. You got any others that stick out?
Cover shot of all time. Now, one of my favorites is the shot of Van Dam after he won the 05 Classic in Pittsburgh. It's a shot that Gary Tramontina took. Van Dam's got the Classic trophy sitting next to him. He's behind the console driving the boat, and you've got the skyline of Pittsburgh in the background. And I thought that was a beautifully composed shot. It really captured that Classic experience. The downtown Classic in Pittsburgh there, I thought that was very cool. I loved that cover. there's some artwork covers that I really like. Bass over the last 25 years has gotten away from the paintings and stuff like that, the illustrations. But some of the illustrations, Herb Reed did a couple of Bassmaster covers in the 80s that I thought were fabulous and absolutely gorgeous. I tend to think sometimes more in terms of the really horrible covers.
Let's go down that path. Everyone loves a train wreck.
There are some train wrecks. And if you can, I'm going to step just around the other side of the computer for 1 second and grab a box.
Okay, have it, because I have a cover that I believe it's a silhouette cover.
Of who?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
So you get your bobit, you get your bobit, you're in the Bassmaster, and the guy's lifting a 10-pounder out of the water, but you can't really tell who it is. Do you know which cover I'm talking about, Ken? And it's Dean Rojas.
Oh, it's Rojas? Okay.
He was at a photo shoot and he's like on one knee lifting it out, but you can't tell who it is.
Huh.
I'm 99% sure I've had this conversation with Rojas because I was like, he had it in his house, and I was like, well, why do you have that cover? He's like, well, that's me. So you get the Bassmaster cover and you're a silhouette.
That's kind of a bummer.
I think there have been a few bad ones. I think there was one before Ray instituted catch and release where you've got some dead fish on a stringer, and that's not a good look, especially in retrospect. I think that that was an unfortunate one. There's one of my all-time favorite bad covers.
Ken is leafing through his categorically organized Bassmaster magazines that are all in plastic sleeves, just like the Superman and Spider-Man. It's like
they are.
Oh, look at that.
That's them.
If you're listening on iTunes, you really need to watch this episode on the BTL YouTube channel. It's impressive.
No, well, of course I've got all the Bassmasters, but let me show you what an all-time bad cover. There are a few. This is the cover of the 1977 Classic story. Okay, so Rick Clund has just gone back to back, winning his second Classic and second in a row, and he's not catching this fish. His press partner is catching this fish.
Oh,
a guy named
jeez.
Dean Mueller from the Washington Post. Look at the look on Clund's face. He's saying, I think the caption should be, "What the hell?"
That's in the Classic?
This is back then the press guys could fish, and they could even win prizes. They could even win cash prizes if they caught big fish of the day. So how's this for your Bassmaster cover?
Dude, that's like a 4-pounder that the guy in the back of the boat is like trying to boat flip over the... Was that an old Evinrude there? A white Evinrude? Johnson. Yeah.
But, man, this is a bad cover. There was...
that is.
That is epic.
There was a cover in 2009.
I can't believe that.
Oh, well, while you guys were in break, I was trying to look for, well, first of all, another all-time bad cover. 2009, Manabu Kurita has just caught a new world record largemouth bass, and we've only been waiting for that for, 77 years at that point. So I guess it was no big deal. He gets truly a postage stamp size inset on the cover, and instead the cover is Colt McCoy, who at the time was kind of a hot shot college quarterback at Texas, and he's turned out to be a journeyman NFL clipboard carrier.
I remember that.
And he's the cover. Kurita's just got a world record.
They didn't get Kurita on the cover later, though?
No.
He's never been on the cover with that fish?
Well, he's been on an inset cover.
No, but he's never... I swear I can remember that.
Part of the problem, Matt, was Kurita wanted some serious money.
Ah, so they were like, hey, we'll pay by the inch. We're getting you a half-inch photo.
Kurita wanted some serious money.
Yeah.
And that was part of the problem. He did get a cover in 2010. Kurita did get a cover in 2010. But that was the first opportunity to break the story. And instead it's Colt McCoy.
Didn't you go there and do that story and all that?
No, that's a sore subject for you and me to discuss privately.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
You had to bring it up there,
I didn't
Matthew.
mean that. I thought he had. Sorry.
A jackass sent somebody else. How about that?
Oh,
Gosh. All right, so we have the Colt McCoy, we have the Rick Cludd press partner jamming a big one in the Classic. Any others that stick out?
jeez.
Oh, just so many. But those are some of the big ones. Those are some of the big ones. I've often thought about doing a 10 worst Bassmaster magazine covers thing. There have been some illustrations that I thought were pretty twisted and bizarre and not terribly interesting, and I think I just saw one.
I mean, obviously, covers that don't age well would be anything with the Mike Long.
Sure. Well, yeah, exactly.
Covers
Yeah.
that don't age. I
Well,
mean, but at the
those.
time, they're impressive. I was walking through Reese's. You have Homeland down here. We have Reese's up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And I walked past the magazine aisle stack, and there's Justin Lucas. How to win tournaments on the cover in Reese's grocery store.
Wow.
Like right by the checkout.
what is that?
This is the cover story of the May-June 1978 Bassmaster magazine is about poaching.
Not cheating, just guys who
Really?
keep more than their fair share.
Really? There were a couple of other issues where stripers figured prominently in the cover. Not a member of the black bass family, but a striper. And this was back in the late 70s when Ray was trying to see how big he could make things,
Yeah.
And so if he can get people interested, he tried fly fishing, he tried stripers, he tried a few different things to expand the empire. And of course, those things didn't catch on. So
wait, if those had caught on, it wouldn't have been largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass, but it could have been like largemouth and stripers.
I'm sure Ray would have had striper tournaments if it had caught on. Ray, for all his love of bass fishing, wanted to build some sort of empire that united sportsmen, and it happened to be on black bass because Ray's from Alabama and grew up bass fishing and loves it. But he also built the Whitetail Institute, and he also showed interest in creating some support for stripers and things like that. So he could have taken it in a lot of different directions and tried. It's just that the black bass is what caught on.
Jeffries would have loved that.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any idea how he's doing right now, Ken? What's the latest?
I don't want to speak out of turn about that. I can say that Ray is 88 years old. Ray's not going to make any more public appearances.
Yeah.
I'll say that he's not doing that anymore. And that's about all I think we can share.
Did somebody buy his?
Right?
What?
Wasn't it for sale?
Yeah, it was for sale. Did somebody end up buying that?
Oh yeah. As my understanding is, a physician in that central South Alabama area bought it, and this has been some years ago. This would have probably been back around 2014, 15, late 2014, early 2015, maybe right around there.
Yeah.
And what a piece of property!
Did you ever fish there?
Yeah, once.
Yeah, Matt and I got to go one time too.
Yeah, there were
was
6
cool.
of us in Kevin Vandam's bat. Wait, let's see if we could name it. It was Kevin up front because we were doing a photo shoot. There's a Quantum photo shoot there.
Yeah.
And we were with Quantum at the time we got there. So it was raining. So Kevin was like, "Do you want to go fish?" Well, everybody there, of course, wants to go fishing with Kevin Vandam in Ray Scott's
Legacy
Pond.
Lake. Yeah.
So it was Kevin. Was Keith Allen there?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Couple guys from Quantum, you and me. All in the boat.
Yeah.
So there were 6 of us.
It was pretty funny.
Crazy.
Now, I
I've
was
never
smart
heard of
enough.
these guys fishing out of a bass boat.
I was smart enough to get one of the back corners. And I caught an 8-pounder. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I caught an 8-pounder dragging a jig. So I have a photo up on my wall of me holding an 8-pounder with Kevin Vandam in the front of his bass boat that I caught on Ray Scott's Pond. It's the best photo. I peaked really early. How do you get any better than that?
That's my fear, Matt. My fear is I peaked really early, and now it's really late.
Before we get off, this is interesting because we talked about Ray Scott, we talked about Rick Clunn, guys who are icons in the sport, have been around for forever. Who would you say is who is still the most active in the sport, who started the earliest?
Well, Bill Dance is still doing television and making appearances, and Bill Dance is the most well-known fisherman on the planet, and Bill fished the first tournament. So I think you got to say it's Bill. And, of course, look at what Roland Martin is doing at 81 years old.
That's crazy.
He's got a really strong YouTube presence. He's as sharp as you can imagine. I mean, he's killing it out there, and he's offering great advice, making great videos. He's still wildly popular. I mean, Roland is still going strong, but Roland didn't start fishing the tournaments until 71. Basically, so he got a little bit later start, but only a couple of years later.
All right, we're going to take a break, Ken, and we're going to come back. I've got a couple of questions. Hey, by the way, just real quick, what was it, 18 pounds that Vandam had to win in Pittsburgh? Was that right?
No, 12-15.
12-15. I thought 18 stuck in my brain.
Didn't Rick Clunn win a classic with 18 pounds on the Ohio River?
No, well, George Cochran won a classic with 15 on the Ohio River, and Larry Nixon won a classic with 18 on the Ohio River.
That's why we keep you around.
Yeah, you're freaking
We had the
awesome.
wrong places, the wrong guys.
We're close. Anyway, all right, coming back with more Ken Duke right after this. Everybody, stay tuned.
Utilizing my experience, utilizing my time on the water, evolving as an angler, and that evolution should never stop. You have to do it every day. From when you wake up in the morning, you got to be thinking about changing, continually changing every minute, every cast. That's really the premise of fishing the moment.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, Xzone lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got Xzone lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why. The bite. Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking big. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. I think you get the point.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed, tested and proven by legends on the water, dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Ducket Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action as a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
All right, we are back. Mark and Matt in studio with our special guest.
He was not back.
He's grabbing more magazines, man.
No, we got to ask him about the limits, the crazy limits in tournaments. I'm really interested to hear about that.
Yeah.
Because I bet he would know about some weird little quirky length limits.
All right, he's back, man. Ask away.
Because remember, we had no, that's fine. So I was thinking about the weird rules and there hasn't been, but there has been, because Brandon Polnick lost a tournament because he called 100 yards into the wrong state. I know that they've had a ton of length limits, but over the course of history, what are some of the craziest creel and length limits and lake rules that Bass has held, or a professional fishing tournament has had an event on?
Well, Dale Hollow, just to go back to Dale Hollow for just a moment, it's interesting because they've had that slot limit, that's 16 to 21, for a long time. And at least 20 years now or so, because I fished it. I've been fishing it off and on for about 20 years, and that's been there a long time. And you're absolutely right. You can throw back a 5-pounder quite easily because it's not quite 21 inches. And the tournaments on Dale Hollow, and like any other big popular bass fishing body of water, there are a lot of tournaments there. There are 2 fish limits, one over the slot and one under the slot. So
for smallmouth.
For smallmouth. Now, most of these tournaments, when a larger organization tries to go and fish Dale Hollow, which is extremely rare because they don't bend on these limits very much, these guys run up the river and they go after largemouth. There are some big largemouth on Dale Hollow. There are also spotted bass out there. It has, I believe, more different species of fish available on Dale Hollow than any other lake in Tennessee, and it's a really cool place historically. So that Dale Hollow is definitely one of the stranger ones, but not really any big time tournaments on Dale Hollow because of those things. Now, in the earliest days of BASS, for example, the creel limit was 15, guys, 15. And initially there was no length limit. If you caught it and it looked like a bass, and it could go on the stringer. And there are some famous ones of guys catching 15 fish that weighed less than 5 pounds.
Wait, let me say that again.
Wow.
Yeah, which is hard to imagine. What are they throwing dry flies to these fish and just trying to catch bait? I mean, what are they doing out there?
Wow.
And on the Ohio River, I've got friends who fish the Ohio River regularly. They'll have prizes for whoever catches the lightest keeper. And I've had guys tell me it is not unusual for a guy to bring a 12-inch fish to the scales off the Ohio River that weighs 6 ounces.
Yikes.
We're accustomed to them weighing about a pound, right? I mean, 12 inches, roughly a pound, ballparking it. Under 6 ounces sometimes. And there's a big cash prize for whoever can bring the lightest keeper to the scales. So that's that's pretty brutal.
But big time elite series, I mean, there's been a couple, like I said, Douglas, where we're headed to for the next Open. I believe when they were there was a slot, a length limit, a different length limit for largemouth. But as far as like slots or weird stuff,
I'm trying to think, Matt, of some of the stranger ones. Of course, usually what you get are they'll try to get a waiver. They'll try to get a waiver on it, and what you often have is a situation where this is quite often, and a great example of this would be like a wheeler, where it's 12 inches on largemouths and spots, but 15 on smallmouths. And you get that a lot. I'm trying to think of a more extreme one.
There was one where you could not weigh in smallmouth.
I don't remember that one.
They were like a protected whatever. I remember that. I can't remember where it is.
Sometimes they're protected during what they perceive to be the spawning season. At Bull Shoals, I don't know if this is still in effect, but there were 3 different size limits. There was a 12-inch for spots, 15 for a largemouth, 18 for a smallmouth. So, it gets pretty weird. I think that this is a political statement maybe, but I think any tournament organization that goes to one of these bodies of water without trying to clear with the state authorities that they can kind of dispense with this is making a mistake. They're changing they're not just changing it in increments, they're changing the whole dynamic of the sport that way. It's stuff like that killed finesse fishing as a tournament technique 45 years ago. The tournaments have, at least until MLF and the BPT and the Every Fish Counts thing, tournaments have done a lot to influence fishing tackle in ways that maybe people don't ordinarily talk about. But in the earliest days, the creel limit was 15. And it stayed that way until catch and release kicked in. And then Ray and the guys at Bass realized, hey, we don't we don't have means to keep 15 bass alive, especially not 15 good sized bass. So they dropped it to 10. When you drop the limit to 10, you're also changing the tactics that a guy can use if he wants to win. He's gonna put away some of the he might put away the Ned rig, for example. And the Ned rig is not new. The Ned rig has been around a long time, and it was used in the 60s, and Ned Cady will tell you that. But anyway, they dropped the limit to 10 and then to 7, and then finally in the early 90s they dropped it to 5. And what they did was they killed finesse fishing as a competitive technique, and they elevated flipping and pitching. And you can look at the standings and the results and so forth, and you can see that flipping and pitching has become more and more important through time as the creel limits drop. And a lot of people, especially younger people, think, oh, the limit's always been 5. And by the way, that's my impression of younger people. But the limit hasn't always been 5. Really, the limit permanently moved to 5 in 1992. Before that, the limit was mostly 7 or 10 or 15. And when you change the creel limit, you change the viable ways to go out there and strategize for your tournament. And I don't know. I got off on a
no. That's good. Was there pushback? Was there like guys who were really pissed when it went from 15 to 10 and then 10 to 7 and 7 to 5, or was
careers died? And Mark will know these names, and Matt, you might too. You're a student of the game for sure, and some of the viewers will certainly know. Billy Westmoreland is generally regarded as the greatest smallmouth bass fisherman of all time. I know there are a few guys out there now who are touting themselves as that, and I'm pausing my laughter only long enough to make this statement. Billy Westmoreland was a finesse guy. He made his living with a Zebco Cardinal 4 and a spinning outfit. He made his living swimming jigs and soft plastics and stuff like that. He won 2 tournaments in Florida doing it. He's probably the only guy who ever caught a largemouth over 10 and a smallmouth over 10. But his career died when they dropped the limit from 10 to 7. Roger Moore, in kind of y'all's part of the world, Roger Moore was a guy from Missouri. He was a flamboyant pro back in the days. He used to wear really fancy shirts and colorful pants, and he was, he wasn't the Matt Robertson of his time, but he definitely had a different look and a more flamboyant look. He was a finesse guy. His career was basically over when they changed that, and they were replaced by guys like Dave Glebe, Tommy Biffle, later Denny Brower, Basil Bacon, the guys who came in and were really good with the flipping sticks, who didn't necessarily catch 15 keepers a day, but they could catch 5 bigger than the finesse guys could catch. It's interesting to see what Major League Fishing, if the Major League Fishing and the Bass Pro Tour will influence tackle in that way.
Mm-hmm. I remember Rick Cluntz one time in an interview talking about that Dave Smith be like, oh, you look at, this was back when Dave Smith was fishing, and be like, because we were all younger, are like, haven't seen Dave Smith. He's like, Dave Smith can catch fish. He's like, Dave Smith catches fish in 15 and 10 and 7 bass limits. And then you look at Dave, he throws a drop shot a lot on a bait caster, and he catches a lot of keepers, but not the size. And Rick Clunn was like, made a point to say, man, when there were more fish, like Dave Smith always came in with a limit.
And guys like Charlie Hartley were really good at catching numbers. And Charlie occasionally has a great tournament in the 5-fish limit. But, man, if you made the limit 15 or something like that, Charlie Hartley would be a guy to be reckoned with day in, day out. Now, and it's interesting you mentioned Rick Clunn, because Rick came up in the days when the limits were 10. And Rick has talked publicly about how that has set him back, and he still has that mentality that he's got to go out and he's got to get 10, 12, 15 strikes a day. And you take a guy like Denny Brower, who's probably going out there, or Greg Hackney, they're looking for 5 to 7 bites a day. And they're adjusting their techniques to do it.
Interesting stuff.
To me, it's fascinating because I don't think we talk enough about how tournament rules impact our sport. And we always look at the highest level when we talk tournament rules. But what happens is, and you guys know because you fished a million club tournaments, whatever those rules are at the elite level or the MLF level or FLW level, they trickle down to the club level too, because we club guys want to think of ourselves and compare ourselves to the Browers and the Clarns and the Wheelers and the Jordans and the Evers and the Martins. And it makes no sense. If you're a bass club and you've outlawed the Alabama rig, you're just dumb.
The way we do it in Oklahoma is if you're fishing a trail that can lead to the Classic or the Elite Series, we try to adhere to the rules that are at that highest level. So therefore, do away with the nets, do away with the Alabama rigs. But if there's no path to the Classic, I mean, if you're basically what we're saying is if you're netting fish on an Alabama rig to get onto the state team, then you can't use a net or an Alabama rig once you get to the Bass Nation Championship. So we're just keeping it a clean path, adhering to those rules.
I like that, and that makes a lot of sense. So, but explain to me, other than technological limitations, why qualifying for the Bass Pro Tour, you're doing it through a 5-fish limit. And then you get there, and now it's not just an incremental change; it's a cosmic change. You have just gone from snooker to 8-ball or something.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing it change. I think it's new, and I think you're going to see a lot more parallel. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you could use nets and Alabama rigs in the Bassmaster Opens. I think you're going to see incremental changes. Plus, you have a lot of infrastructure and changes to do that on the pro circuit. And then you're also seeing the top 4 guys from each tournament get to fish in the next BPT event. You're seeing their championship go to an every fish count. So I think they're trying to integrate some of that for their top anglers. But I think that's a big challenge that they face, especially as hard as they came out of the gates with the fish on the carpet. Oh, I can't believe, we put a fish in a live well and stuff, and now they own the organization that does that at every level, bigger than anyone else. So, I mean, I think they are constantly changing and integrating, and I think some of those little twists that you've seen over the last couple of years on the pro circuit are because of that. Yeah. Just my 2 cents.
No, I think I know you're right, and I love that they're trying to adapt because I think it's important. I think it's important to acknowledge that if you're going to play NBA basketball, it's good that college basketball has the hoops at the same height and the court's the same length, and the 3-point line is not the same, but okay.
I get it. I mean,
it's weird.
Is there elements where they're trying to put one puzzle together with pieces from 3 different puzzles? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's weird. And
all right,
I think most of it's technological barriers.
Yeah. All right, man, I got to ask you one business question because it was outstanding, and obviously with you being involved, the man for Fishing Tackle Retailer Magazine. I got to ask you this question. A week and a half ago, Ken Hicks, who is the chairman, CEO of Academy Sports, was on CNBC, and the interview that he did was outstanding. The numbers that they put out for their fiscal year were unbelievable. Almost 18% increase to $5.6 billion. And then same-store sales actually increased, 16.1%. But more importantly, their e-commerce grew almost 61% from the previous year. And their net sales, I mentioned $5.6 billion. And he was adamant about mentioning the fishing industry and how much that really helped their fiscal year and their results. My question to you now is, you take COVID out of the equation now, can these companies sustain the greatness that they showed during 2020 and continue the momentum going forward?
Wow, you put me on the spot, man.
That's what I do.
I thought we were friends, Mark. I thought
we are. But you're the expert, dude. Seriously.
How was that trip to Japan for the world record?
No. Don't go. No, seriously. I mean, forget about the numbers. That is an enormous increase in net revenue, Ken.
It's enormous. Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. Can they sustain? I fear not. I'm optimistic, but I'm very cautious, and here's why. Here's what happens economically. When you have a lot of people out of work, a lot of people looking for something to do, many of them will find fishing. And in 2020, an additional roughly 8 million people found fishing. Okay? 8 million who we didn't expect to get.
Yeah.
Now people are going back to work. A lot of cities, a lot of businesses are opening back up. People who lost income last year because of the pandemic are now trying to stockpile what they can. Many of them are working much harder than they usually do, working more hours than they usually did because they feel like they have to make up for what they lost in 2020. But it's a slow progression into that. Mm-hmm. I would be more worried if it were a fast progression and everybody was getting back to work all at the same time. Then I would say we've got a bigger problem because we're going to lose a lot of those people. Those people will not come back to fishing. But because it's been a slow progression, I think we have a better chance. Here's why. Those people who found fishing last year, many of them still have time to go fishing. Hopefully they enjoyed it. They're going to come back. They're going to re-engage. They're going to make it part of their life moving forward. If the progression had been fast, things had suddenly reopened and everything was wham, bam, great again, the economy is booming, then those people would have gone strictly back to work. They would have not gone back to fishing in significant numbers, would be my concern, because that's the way it's been historically. Mm-hmm. We've seen increases in fishing in 2008 when the economy tanked for a while. But we lost those people when things got back to normal, when the economy cycled back. Same thing happened in 2001. Same thing happens whenever we have a major recession or a major situation like that. When people have an opportunity to go fishing, they will often take it. Now, what does that mean to the bass fishing industry specifically? Well, a lot of those people who got into the sport for the first time or who came back into the sport last year were not bass fishermen. Most of them were not. They were buying entry-level push-button combos, low-end spinning combos. They were buying a lot of gold crappie hooks and split shot and stuff like that to go catfishing or crappie fishing or bluegill fishing or to catch anything that would bite. To get those people into the bass world typically takes time. The other thing I would say about getting and keeping anglers is this. There are all kinds of studies out there that say that if you want to create an angler and make this person a lifelong angler, you got to get them by about age 12. Okay? The odds of somebody beginning fishing after the age of 12 and maintaining it as a hobby well into adulthood are almost zip. Okay? So it's that under 12 crowd that we need to get hooked on the sport and keep involved. So I don't know if I answered this question, but
this just all made sense to me. So there's a lot. Not everything. Nothing really makes sense to me. But I was just thinking, and he seems to come up every time. But you look at like Randy Blockett's channel, and then the jump that even Brad Hallman and that whole group of guys over there had, and obviously Scott Martin before the pandemic was popular. Edwin Evers is big, and we're sitting there going, there's no way these guys are getting these numbers of views. Like, how is this possible? But you're talking about 8 million people, a lot of whom didn't start fishing before 12, who are buying low-end stuff, and they're trying to figure out how to fish, and they're going on YouTube, and these are the guys that are putting out consistent content over and over, not to mention all the guys we don't know. But do you think a lot of those views are pandemic fishermen, for lack of a better term, who are getting on trying to learn these things, and it's getting suggested and they're saying, oh, okay.
Well, I think what's happening, particularly with regard to the guys you mentioned there, Matt, those guys are not getting the beginner guy who's trying to learn how to tie an improved clinch knot.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think those guys are already pretty serious about what they do. And by the way, kudos to our friend Edwin Evers. I think Edwin's putting out the finest how-to content videos available today. I think it's
ridiculous. I watched, it's the first time I've actually like watched a YouTube video and I was like pausing it and doing it like he said, and I was just like, holy cow, this is legit. Like this was yesterday. Value. This was yesterday that I was doing this, and I was like, if it wasn't Easter Sunday, I would have sent him to text. Just be like, dude, you're totally killing this. Anyway.
The production values on Edwin's stuff are outrageous. But anyway, but there's a lot of good content out there. There's more good content out there than we can possibly watch. Mm-hmm. But I don't think those guys are gaining audience from the folks who are just bought a rod and reel. I don't think that's their audience. I think their audience is a lot more sophisticated, a lot higher level and more experienced angler than that. If you want to see who's I think somebody like Gene, the Fluke Master, mm-hmm. he's getting more of the early entry people. The Googans are getting more of the early entry people. And part of that is because they are targeting that audience, and part of that is because they make the sport look very accessible. No, this is not a shot at any elite pro, any MLF pro, anybody else. But one of the challenges is that those guys don't make the sport look as accessible as I think they could. When they go fishing, they're stepping into a $90,000 boat. They're picking up a combo that cost $800. They're showing us these baits that are expensive. They're doing everything exactly the right way. They're showing us such nuances. When I think the beginning angler is struggling just to get a Texas rigged worm to hang straight.
Hey, I bought a rod and reel. Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and and I'm sitting here on the BTL channel assuming that my audience is tournament fishermen. So I'm already narrowing that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that. I'm already just saying, those 8 million people, let's just target the 20,000.
Wow.
Well, but here's the thing. Whether we want to or not, we get the audience we deserve.
Yep.
We get the audience we deserve. We talked a little earlier about Ray Scott he did a multi-part, like a 6-part striper series in Bassmaster in the late 70s. But he didn't find traction there. He didn't keep it going, so he never got a striper audience. He used to do some fly fishing stuff, but he didn't get traction there. He didn't find an audience, so he quit doing the fly fishing stuff. He narrowed down his audience and found that sweet spot. You guys have done it too. You guys don't talk about catfish. You guys don't talk about live bait. You guys
sometimes.
Yeah, but Ken, we talk about bowling and the weather and basketball.
Well, okay, there's that. Anything else?
Barrel racing.
Talk live. But you know what I mean. You get the audience you deserve because you tailor your content to what the people you're interested in speaking to, and that's true of all the guys making the bass fishing how-to content, whether we're talking Edward Evers or Randy Blockett. And Randy always scares me because he's always filming while he's driving, and I'm always afraid I'm going to see a traffic accident.
Oh, geez. Yeah, good point. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, then we'll come back with some final questions with Ken and wrap things up. You're on our first show back, kicking off the week here, so everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamic shot put fish in my boat.
One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
The Ned rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length great Ned rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get,
it's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
All right, we are back, folks, wrapping up our Monday show with our special guest, Ken Duke. And by the way, Matt, I forgot. Wednesday's show, you know what we might do? We haven't done it for a month because I've been gone. We might do a Sunline Hotline show.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
On Wednesday.
100%.
So, and I know, Ken, if you want to jump in there for a hotline show, that would be freaking awesome. That way folks could call in and they could ask questions.
You have it figured out to where we can hear with the guest on and all that, and he can hear?
I think so. I think I got that figured out. But if not, we'll just do it the way that we always do it. If you have a question for Ken, ask the question, then hang up to listen.
All right.
All right.
Well, he hasn't even agreed to be on yet. We should probably check that first. So you could ask him a question. If he's not on, he ain't going to answer.
Ken, you want to be on Wednesday on the Sunline Hotline show? He's in.
I'm in.
He's in. All right. So that's what we'll do on Wednesday, folks. Very, very looking forward to hearing from the fans. And you can ask Matt, myself, Ken, anything you want. And we'll queue that up on Wednesday. So Sunline Hotline show on Wednesday.
You know, by then, hopefully I have tracked down my copy of the worst bass fishing cover in history.
I like that. And by the way, Matt is working on a project that hopefully we will be able to announce very soon.
I am?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, what did we talk about last week? When he's talking about the worst, what did we talk about last week?
Oh, yeah. No, I talked with someone this morning about it.
We're working on it. It should be cool. When are we going to be able to announce it?
Oh, that's going to be a couple months down the road. It's going to be
a couple of months?
Yeah, it's going to be a summer thing because we're going to have to... Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. So, folks, here, in a couple of months... We got something coming, hopefully.
Well, not a couple of months. I just meant before it goes down. Because the people involved in it are going to be extremely busy for the next month and a half.
Doing what?
Fishing.
Isn't that the premise of what we're going to do?
Yeah.
So don't we want them fishing? We don't want them going to freaking summer vacation.
No, the people... No, we'll talk about this off air. Yeah.
I don't get it.
It takes
I
a
thought
little...
it was about fishing.
This is a deal you can't just announce. It's like a project. It's a competition. It's a competition.
It is
not?
a competition.
It's a competition.
But do you not want to have the competition?
Yeah,
when they're
but it
fishing?
involves like how you submit stuff and where you submit it, how you judge it, how you vote on it, where it involves, how it actually goes together. It's not just like a freaking go here and sign up.
Let me ask you this: when you get back from the Open, would you be able to announce it?
Well, that's the thing. I won't be back from the Open for 3 weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we should be able to announce it by then. I've got everybody on board. I've got the big money backers on board with it. You're on board with it.
You'll love this. It is all his idea. It was genius.
It kind of plays on the human psyche. You won't be able to guess it, but it's the reason why we want to see the sucky Bassmaster covers and not the best Bassmaster covers.
It is a great idea, and I'm glad to see that he's pulling it together. So hopefully here in 3-4 weeks we'll be able to
pulling it together in my life or in this?
No. For your concept, your idea.
I got you.
All right. It's a working project.
I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Even though
it's
Matt,
good.
I found out last week that Matt hates me. It was very disappointing.
What?
That's not true. I called you right then. I had you on air.
Matt and Bradley had Tommy Biffle on the show, and I had shot Matt a text, something maybe to talk to Biffle about if they had time or if he thought it was interesting. It just blew me off.
That's not true. Biffle started telling stories about chasing down people with his motor on high bypass and a flipping stick and all sorts of stuff. And then it turns out that there's two people who invented pitching. It's either Tommy Biffle in the 80s or Marco Polo in the 1860s in some passage from his Lewis and Clark journeys where Pocahontas shows him a pond and he pitches in with a cane pole and like a live cricket, and then Ken found this in the National Archives and has narrowed it down to these two people who invented pitching.
Yes, that is an accurate summation.
Who was it? Who was it again? We got to give the guy credit.
James Henshaw.
1880s?
1880s.
What'd you say, Marco Polo? Marco Polo.
Also, Matt didn't come visit me when he was here for the Harris chain. I don't know.
Dude, you're digging a ditch.
I was too busy with my average finish. You know how hard it is to be average?
Hey, man, I've been struggling to get to average for all my life. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I haven't given up yet. I'm working to get there.
Wow. All right. So that's what we'll do then. On Wednesday, we will have the Sunline Hotline show. Ken will take part in that, and we will take calls from the fans. And once again, just a blanket thank you to everybody out there that sent me emails and well wishes. There's just no way I'm going to be able to respond. Excited today, guys. First day back at school.
Oh, really?
I have no idea what awaits me. No idea.
You think they'll have a...
No.
Think? Oh, I bet they do. I bet you walk in and you're like, where is everyone?
No. First place I'm going to is the principal's
Well, I was
going
to say they're going to jump out and surprise you, but that probably isn't a good idea.
No surprises.
I think they'll do something
now,
for you.
Let me ask you a question.
I think you might get some balloons.
Let me ask you a
Maybe
question.
Some chocolates.
Matt and Ken, what should I do with the shoes that I wore when I had my accident?
Have them resold?
Should I get rid of them? Should I burn them? Should I put them in a box? Should I put them up there?
Right
what should
next
I
to
do?
Duckett shoes?
Ken.
No, I assume that the school has a trophy case in the hallway somewhere.
They
right?
do, yeah.
Right next to the trophy for the big season here. Need to hang your shoes.
Did you get a Did your team get any trophies this year for making state?
Every step of the way we got a trophy.
Absolutely, it's got to go
region, district,
might have been
region,
a little
area.
Overkill. And you accepted them?
No, but what's weird is you make it to the state tournament, you don't get anything.
But you accepted the trophies that were
not me.
But you let the kids keep them.
Well, no, they got one that goes in the trophy case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The shoes have got to be next to the trophy.
Okay.
I think they got complacent because they had 3 trophies and they should have just put those things in the dumpster behind every arena that they got them on until they kept their eyes on the prize.
That's wow.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Oh, okay, Jim Traber.
Is that what he says?
That's what he says every Sunday night.
Oh, I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I've never listened to Jim Traber.
Every Sunday
night.
The
only Jim Traber's the guy. Is he the guy? Is he in the press conferences at OU?
No.
Who's that guy?
No. Al Eschbach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I've got a bunch of like friends now who have kids who are like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And they win a freaking baseball or basketball tournament. And instead of getting the little trophies like with the picture of the dude like shooting the free throw or hitting the like I got, they give them damn rings.
For winning?
Yeah, they give them rings for winning like tournaments when they're 8. There's like photos of them all like holding up these big bedazzled rings and stuff. It pisses me off.
Rings?
Like, what do you teach your kids? You're giving them these big it's a championship ring that they're getting for winning a 9-year-old T-ball tournament.
Yeah, I don't
You should get a box of Juicy Juice, a pixie stick, and a pat on the back.
And a snow cone.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that, Matthew.
They're getting rings for 9 years old.
Wow.
And you finish third in a 300 boat bass tournament and don't even get a trophy for it.
Sorry.
They used to do that. They're giving more trophies to kids and less trophies to bass fishermen. You walk into anybody who was a stick in the 90s or early 2000s and they cannot fit another plaque on their wall. You start looking at them, it's like 19th place, 23rd place, all this stuff. Now it's like first and second in a 200 boat tournament.
Yeah. Ken, didn't they used to give belt buckles to the classic champ?
Well, they used to sell belt buckles.
Is that what it was?
Classic. I think I've got most of them. But yeah, to Matt's point about no trophies anymore, that money was supposed to be rolled into the prize money. So instead of the trophies, everybody's supposed to get an extra $8 or whatever it costs to make a trophy.
Yes.
Did anyone ever follow through on that when they did away with that?
I have no idea.
How far did it used to go down? Like the top 150s and invitationals, it was, I mean, I've seen like 18th, 19th, 20th place plaques.
Well, I've seen, I think everybody who got a check got a trophy.
Yeah. How about that?
Hey, man.
Or a plaque.
Do you want cash or the plaque? What do you want?
Depends how much cash it is, Mark. But I would like a plaque. I like a plaque. I like a good plaque.
You like
something
that
that
plaque?
you can put on the wall.
Yeah. 24th place. Great job.
Yeah, it's a plaque. Typically you didn't zero if you get a plaque.
Okay. Now we know where he stands, right, Ken?
I think Matt just wants the tournament director to sign a document that says Matt did not zero in this event, and then he can frame it and put it on the wall.
You get a certificate.
I'm just saying, I have fished some of those level events where I feel like I deserved a plaque, and I didn't get a plaque. Now, you can look at it two ways. Hey, look, there's proof that I caught him. It's going to motivate me to do better and increase it. Or you could look at it as, oh, look at this guy who's satisfied with getting a trophy for not winning.
Well, how about the Bassmaster Elite Series Rookie of the Year trophy? Can it get any smaller?
We've got into that multiple times.
I mean,
it should be ginormous.
Yeah. Did you see John Sukup's NPFL trophy?
Yeah.
It was probably about the size of a ceiling fan, to put that into perspective, like the top of it.
Wow. I do like the heavyweight belts. Those are pretty cool.
Well, those were just contributed by Dave Smith.
Yeah.
It was my understanding. Although they were awarded at Champions Night at the Bassmaster Classic, I don't know that Bass actually had anything to do.
Really,
with
that was Dave took it upon himself.
Because I do know he's a great guy.
Yeah, when he was fishing on the Elite Series and they went to the Marshalls, he had like legit sterling silver Marshall badges that he had engraved and made, and every marshal he'd get in the boat and he'd hand him a badge. So if you marshaled with Dave Smith, I mean, it wasn't like one of the cheap plastic dollar store ones. It was like straight out of the MTM recognition stuff that he had made, and it might have even had the event and that stuff on it, and he'd be like, hey, here you go, man.
Oh, Dave gave everybody who marshaled for him got like an Oscar gift bag, practically, I think he was giving away, really nice leather briefcases and stuff like that for a while. If you were Dave Smith's marshal, you came out okay.
You got some swag.
Yeah,
That's cool stuff. Very, very cool. All right, Ken, can't thank you enough. I know you're going to be pitch hitting on a few of the shows while Matt's gone with me, so can't wait for that. Your insight and all of your knowledge is just awesome that you can pass on to all the BTL fans out there. So looking forward to that. We'll have you on the show Wednesday for the Sunline Hotline show. Folks, get ready, call in. I sent out the gift cards and the checks on Friday, Matthew.
For the two marshals that submitted requests.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the show after they marshal to talk about their experience. And then just the two random people who experienced Jeffrey's random acts of kindness got a $100 gift card.
Yeah. So, guys, enjoy that. And tomorrow, Ott Defo talk about his second win in the state of Texas. So we'll get into that a little bit. And
what is that?
7th place plaque.
There's a 7th place plaque right there. You know where that's hanging? That's still hanging in my parents' house. Think about how much joy that's brought them. knowing that their son got 7th place in a youth tournament in 1999.
Hey, man, I got a printer over there. We'll print out some certificates and
No,
start
it's got to
giving them
come
out.
from the organization. You can't make your own plaques.
Unbelievable. All right, Ken, man. Have a great Monday and rest of the week. We will definitely talk to you on Wednesday. And Matthew, tomorrow. Back at it. It was great to be back. Thank you once again to all the well wishes that I received out there. And then some of the emails, yes, I'm going to respond to. Some of them were real specific, and this week I'm going to try and get back to them. It's very, very important to me. So great to be back. At Defo tomorrow. And that's it. Anything else, Matt?
No, you made it an hour and a half today. You're looking good, Mark. Glad to see you back. I can see a marked improvement every day I come in. And we're probably just days away from our first on-air fight.
Maybe so. All right, Ken, great stuff, man. We will talk to you on Wednesday. That's it. We're out of here.